Hello, everybody. My name is Farnham Warriner, and my subject is words and their meanings. I am an English teacher, or pedagogue, if you will, at St. Paul's School, Brooklynville, Maryland, where I have now had a tenure of 21 years. I previously taught at the University of Pennsylvania and Episcopal High School in Alexandria, Virginia. Through the many years of my teaching, I have come to realize how important a good word vocabulary is. And now to commence the story leading up to these tapes. A few days ago, the headmaster of our school, Mr. Ordeman, asked me whether I would be interested in undertaking a summer project of compiling a list of words and their meanings on tape. I have always made a sort of fetish of words, their meanings, their connotations, and their origins, so I accepted a course with alacrity. Verbal facility, as I'm sure most of you will agree, plays such an important part in the educational development of our children, and for us adults as well. To achieve clarity in speech and writing, to achieve the power of the word in print, is functionally important for all of us. To accumulate a fund of words with their proper meanings, it is essential to read as much good literature as possible. Verbal knowledge is indispensable for students who take tests for admission to colleges. It is a criterion used in determining their qualifications for entrance into the institutions of their choice. And for those who don't go to college, for those who choose instead either to go into business or to take vocational courses, it is also of invaluable help. To illustrate now how important the meanings of words are, let me mention three pairs of words that are often confusing, not only to the average layman, but also to writers on newspapers and periodicals. Here I'll pause for a moment to allow you to get pencils and paper. Jot down these words, if you wish. These three pairs are accession, A-C-C-E-S-S-I-O-N, and ascension, A-S-C-E-N-S-I-O-N. Militate, M-I-L-I-T-A-T-E, and mitigate, M-I-T-I-G-A-T-E. And last, climatic and climactic. Now, accession refers to the mounting of a prince, throne, say. So often, ascension is used mistakenly in its place. Militate means to act against the interests of someone. Mitigate means to soften. Circumstances of the case are mitigated by a particular action of the criminal. Climatic, of course, refers to climate, and climactic refers to climax. So, my listeners, you can mull over the differences at your leisure. And now, before beginning my list of words, I want to speak on a matter that is not only disturbing to me, but to every educator in our country. And that is the lamentable erosion in our academic standards, particularly in the field of verbal knowledge. There are two factors I find so upsetting in causing this retrogression. The principal culprit is television, whose deadening and stultifying influence had done so much to take our minds away from more meaningful interests in life. However, I don't wish to convey the impression that I am decrying all programs, as there are so very many excellent ones. It is just that too much time is consumed watching wasteful ones. So no wonder educators are decrying the baleful effects it has on our children. The second vitiating influence is the modern idiom of youth that seems to turn them all for reading, reading in particular of the classics. Another reason, I think, for the drop in standards is an economic one. That is, in order to flesh out an enrollment, some schools are accepting students who are questionably qualified. Universities nowadays are forced to consume time in incorporating remedial courses in their curriculums, like writing, for instance. I think because of these conditions that are so prevalent today, that it is morally incumbent for parents everywhere to strive to not only negate these adverse factors, but to demand that their children receive the best possible education. In taping my vocabulary, I've decided to follow the format I use here in my classes at St. Paul's. I shall first give the word, then ask for any hands, as sometimes the boys have either picked it up in school or in their daily contacts. Sometimes, too, they will give a meaning that is not the synonym I have in mind. Then I will use a word in a sentence so they can get it in its proper context. Sometimes, too, I shall give two or more synonyms for words that are commonly used, like ghost, for example. And sometimes I'll explain what part of speech it is. It is surprising how often the students will get a word if used in a sentence. I shall endeavor, too, to give words and their meanings that are frequently seen in print, though not so frequently used in conversation. I shall also eschew words that are sometimes seen in test manuals, but are almost never heard in conversation, like uxorious, primordial, or misogynist. I shall try only to use words that are functionally active in this language of ours. So now everybody, please step into my classroom, find out exactly how I operate. Boys, this morning I am going to take you on an adventure unlike any that you have ever conceived of, an adventure in words. Although my course, boys, will emphasize word vocabulary, is not the only facet of English that you'll receive instruction in. There will be such categories as literature, that includes poetry, prose and verse, spelling, grammar, and writing, and various subcategories such as quotations, mythology, and so on. And now please get out your notebooks. I hope that you have divided them, as I have instructed you to, with your colored dividers into their various categories. Now turn to word vocabulary, and we will shortly commence. But boys, like the walrus in Lewis Carroll's poem, I have a few things to say to you first. I want to mention the remarkable achievement of 3 boys in their word vocabulary last year. They did not make a single error the entire term. And I gave at least 130 to 150 words. Oh, some years I give as many as 200, but last year I think it was in the neighborhood of 150. Those boys, whom I wish to commend and whom I hope are listening today, were Mark Longstreth, Pat Williams, and Robbie Roman, who didn't miss one single word the entire semester. An almost phenomenal achievement. Oh, it's true that in other years I've had 1, sometimes perhaps 2 boys who have not missed a word. But never since I've been teaching at St. Paul's have I ever had 3 boys in one term who have not missed a single word. Word vocabulary, as you know, fellows, is so important. It's the open sesame to achievement in life. The Washington-based firm of Johnson O'Connor contends that word vocabulary, knowledge of it, will advance you faster than probably anything else in whatever you're undertaking. An interesting sideline to this was that executives, they found, score higher than teachers. Foremen in foundries score higher than the men who work under them. So you can see why I am stressing it more than I am the other facets of English. And now, with your pencils poised, let's put down our first word, which is ghost. By the way, be sure to number your words as we go along. Now, gentlemen, I'm thinking of a word, a synonym that is, for ghost, that commences with the letter A, as an apple. Let me give you a sentence to help you on your way. In the legend of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane encounters a ghost-like figure on horseback, whose head is carried on the pommel of his saddle. I see hands. Longstreth, what is your answer? Apparition, sir. Correct you are, Mark. Now, class, I have in mind another synonym. It starts with the letter S, as in Samuel. And I'm not thinking of departed spirit or spook, which, of course, are correct, too. All right, Sutley, I see your hand. Spectre, sir. That's correct, Stewart. Very good. Now, boys, I have another synonym that commences with the letter P, as in Paul. Williams, I see your hand. What is it? Phantom, sir. Correct, Pat. Very good. Now, a last meaning for ghost I'm going to give you starts with the letter W, as in Warriner. No hands? So let me give you an incident from the Call of the Wild. Help you out. Spitz and Buck are chasing a snowshoe rabbit whose ghost-like figure appears over a mound of snow. Robbie Roman, your hand was up first. What's the answer? Wraith, sir. Robbie, that was a hard one. I can well understand why you are one of the leaders of the class. I trust that all of you have jotted down your notebooks the various meanings I've given. The next word for your notebook is meditate. The synonym I have in mind commences with the letter M. Now let me recount an incident in Goodbye, Mr. Chips. The protagonist is old and sits meditating by his fire, thinking about his past life at the school. Hands? I see yours, Brooke Cumer. Muse, sir. Right, Brooke, and good work. Now, gentlemen, I'm thinking of another synonym that starts with the letter P. Bracy, I see your hand. Ponder, sir. Correct you are, John. Now, boys, another meaning that commences with the letter C. Hands? All right, Childs, what is it? Cogitate, sir. Good, Denny, very good. A hard word. Now, gentlemen, one last synonym. One that starts with the letter R as in rascal. No hands? So I'll mention a classic, and it's thief. In the Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantès sits meditating in his cell over the cruel injustice of his imprisonment. Hands? Rhodes, your hand seems to be the only one up. Okay. What is it then? Ruminate, sir. How you got that one, Rhodes, I don't know. Another meaning you might jot down is to think closely. So, fellows, that gives us 5 good meanings in all, practically interchangeable. Remember, though, that various meanings can often differ a little in their connotations. Perry Reith, what does the word connotation mean? It starts with the letter S. No dice, Perry. Well, anybody. Nobody, I see. The meaning is suggestion. Jot it down, class. Now, class, put this word down in your list. Berate. B-E-R-A-T-E. The word I'm thinking of, the synonym that is, commences with the letter S. Let me give you an incident from Oliver Twist. Poor little Oliver is berated for asking for a second bowl of porridge. Tommy Kamak, I see your hand. Scold, sir. Correct, Tommy, and good work. Now, gentlemen, there are the 3 R's, all synonyms for berate. All right, Bruce Elliott. What is it? Rebuke, sir. Right, Bruce. I see your hand, Brett. Reprimand, sir. And now for the 3rd and hardest. Downs, your hand seems to be the only one up. What is it? Reprove, sir. Good, Downs. Very good. Now, class, another synonym for berate that commences with the letter U. Any hands? None, I see. Let me give you then an incident from Macbeth to help you out. Lady Macbeth berates her husband for his irresolution in carrying through their intent to murder Duncan the king, whose host they are. No hands? Then put this word down, class. Upbraid. U-P-B-R-A-I-D. Now one last synonym. A word that commences with the letter C. Let me give you an incident from the classic David Copperfield. David feels like lightly scolding Barkis for his timidity in wooing Peggotty, but instead carries the message, Barkis is willing. Jot this down, fellows. Chide. C-H-I-D-E. Boys, be sure to put down every synonym I give you on the same line as the word and its meaning. Oh, occasionally you'll have to use the line underneath, but try to fit it in on one line, if possible. Now, class, put down the word purloin, P-U-R-L-O-I-N. The meaning I'm thinking of starts with the letter S, as in Samuel. Let me give you a literary allusion. A famous story by Edgar Allan Poe is a purloined letter in which a document is snitched and cleverly hidden in the room of the principal character. I see your hand, Tom Lally. Steal, sir. Good work, Tommy. Another synonym, class, I'm thinking of commences with the letter P. No hands, so let me help you out. In Oliver Twist, the evil Fagin instructs his protégés in the art of stealing. Your hand, Shuttle, I see is up. Pilfering, sir. Excellent work, Shuttle. The only hand that was up. Put down the word pilfer, boys, not pilfering. Pilfer to match purloin, both verbs. Boys, there are other synonyms, principally slang and colloquial, such as snitch, snatch, swipe, and lift. When I use the word colloquial, I mean conversational English, one notch above the lowest rung slang. Let me add a footnote to the word steal. The word embezzle also means steal, but stealing of a different sort. If an employee of a firm surreptitiously falsifies the books, the word embezzlement is used. Boys, from this point on, I shall give you, most of the time, just one meaning, except when a word has more than one common meaning, such as this word I'm about to give you now, the word void. The first meaning is to nullify, which means not binding. The other meaning, noun rather than verb, gentlemen, commences with the letter E. To help you out, let me mention an incident in Goethe's The Sorrows of Young Werther. Werther is separated from his beloved Lottie, and the void in his heart is almost too great to bear. Class, whoever gets this one is good. One hand. Peter Candell. Empty, sir. That's great, Peter. Only put down the noun, emptiness. Jot it down that way, fellas. The next word, gentlemen, for your notebooks is the word sinister. S-I-N-I-S-T-E-R. The meaning I'm thinking of begins with the letter E. No hands. So let me give you a description of one of the most sinister female characters in fiction. And disconsolate. She is one of the synonyms I have in mind start with the letters F
Incidentally,
and
one of
U.
my favorite books of fiction.
In Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy,
Woman.
Hardy
This
shows
daily
us how
by the guillotine
important
during the reign of
destiny
terror.
is in shaping our lives.
Knitting.
For instance,
While watching the
if
head.
Tess's father had not found out he was a
Guy, your
D'Urberville,
hand is up.
her life would have taken a different
Evil,
course.
sir.
Right you are, McCon. In the
Good
climax
word.
of the story, Tess becomes so disconsolate with life that she commits a murder. The answers.
Now, class, I
Fate.
want to pause a moment.
And unhappy.
But not for station
First,
identification.
A noun.
To tell you to use
Second,
a semicolon
an
instead of
adjective.
a comma to separate the different meanings of a word.
For instance,
The
like the
word
two
is
meanings I
contrite.
gave you for the word void,
The synonym I'm thinking
put a semicolon
Starts
rather than a
with the
comma
letter
between
S,
nullify
as
and
in
emptiness.
In
For
the Christmas
synonyms,
Carol
use
by
commas
Dickens.
only.
Scrooge. After
The
visits
next
by
word,
three
class,
ghosts,
for your notebooks
becomes
is swart.
contrite because
T
of his previous mean
W
behavior.
A
The
R
answer is
T.
sorry.
Now the word I'm thinking of, the,
The
synonym
words are
that is,
sullen.
begins with the letter
lurid.
F as in Farnham.
The synonyms I'm
Let me
thinking
recount
of
the theme of Moby
start
Dick
with the letters
so you can
G
get it in context.
and S.
Captain
as in
Ahab,
South.
beset with philosophical
In
reflections
Wuthering
on his
Heights
consuming hatred
by
for the
Emily
right
Bronte,
way,
Heathcliff,
paces a deck
the principal
of
character
his
of the story,
ship, vowing he will be thwarted
in a
no
mood
longer.
of sullen fury, vows vengeance
Talo,
on
your
him
hand is up.
who
Foiled
through the
sir.
years has mistreated him.
A young schoolboy getting a hard word like that.
The author,
Excellent.
Emily Bronte,
Then
was
put it
afraid
down,
to have the
class.
book published
F
under her
O
real name
I
because some of the
L.
incidents were too lurid and violent for those times.
Now,
The
class, your
answers
next word
Are
is
gloomy
furtive.
and sensational.
F-U-R
The word is innuendo.
V-E.
The synonym
The word I'm
begins
thinking of, the synonym
with
that
the
is,
letter
commences with the letter S,
Ah.
as in Smith.
to give
Let
it
me
to you in
recount an
context.
episode in The
Let me
Fellowship of the
describe a
Ring.
character in
Help you on your way.
Shakespeare's tragedy Othello.
5 figures
Iago,
are dimly
one of the most
discerned
contemptible
in
and
the dusk of
despicable
evening,
characters in literature,
slipping across plowland and
with
field
innuendos
to avoid the terrible night
concerning
riders.
the fidelity
No hands on that.
of Othello's wife.
Well, the
Desdemona.
answer is stealthy. S
The answer is
E
insinuation.
A L T H Y.
An exact connotation would be a
Another
sly
good
insinuation
synonym.
or hint.
Jot it down. Is
The word is
surreptitious. S-U-R-R-E-P.
Boom. The synonym commences with the
T-O-U-S.
letter B. In Heidi,
Now your next word, boys,
Charlotte.
is grotesque.
her sick friend
G
lives in the city in Germany.
O-T
Heidi goes to visit her,
S
which was a great boon to the
Q-U-E.
ill girl. The
The
answer
word I'm
is
thinking of,
blessed.
the synonym that is,
The
starts
word
with the
is
letter F,
chagrin.
as in Frank.
The synonym starts
To
with
get
the
it
letter
in context, a good
A. In an
literary
incident
allusion
from the fairy tale
would be the
Cinderella,
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
the mean sisters were chagrined to see the prince pay so much attention to Cinderella
By
instead of
Victor
himself.
Hugo.
The answer is
Quasimodo, the
annoyed,
protagonist of the story, is a hunchback.
vexed
The bell ringer
is
of the
another
cathedral.
excellent synonym.
His appearance is so grotesque
The word
that
is
people shy
rank.
away from it.
The synonym
Man.
I'm thinking of
I see
commences
yours,
with the
Chris
letter
Fiercer.
Q.
Fantastic.
In an incident from Ruskin's King of the Golden
Great
River,
work, Chris.
the two
Very
bad
good.
brothers, after a bitter
So jot it down.
wrangle in the street,
F-A-N
are carted off to prison by the constable.
T-I-C.
The answer
Spell it by
is
syllables.
quarrel. The word is capitulate. The
The
synonym
next word,
commences
gentlemen, is
with the
mouse.
letter S,
M-A-L.
as in Smith.
I-C-E.
In War and Peace by
No
Tolstoy,
hands. Let me then use a story to put it in context.
Anatole, a loose character,
In The King of the Golden
woos the
River,
lovely and virtuous
Little Glut
Natasha,
is told
so
by the king that
persistently
because of the malice
that she
of the
finally
wicked man,
capitulates and agrees
turned
to
into
run
a
away
dwarf.
with it. The
no
answer
hands.
is
The answer
surrender.
is spite.
The word is sibling.
We'll leave my classes.
The synonym starts with the letter
One's
K.
eye view of how I conduct it.
In Samuel Butler's
As
Way
far
of
as
All
word
Flesh,
vocabulary and some
the
aspects
story
of literature
centers
are
around the
concerned.
Pontifex tribe.
I shall now address
And in
you directly
particular,
as I formerly did.
Theobald
I
Pontifex.
shall continue giving you the
His
words
sibling
in their
sister,
context,
Althea, his
using
son Ernest,
classical and literary
and a sibling brother and sister.
allusions to kill,
The answer
so to speak,
is
two birds with one
kin.
stone.
Sibling
That is both word
derives
vocabulary and
from
literature.
sib, meaning clan.
The next
It is a
word
blood
blood.
relationship,
The
usually
synonym I'm thinking
a
of
sister
starts with the letter G.
or brother.
Shelley
word is
says,
transient.
"Hail to thee, blithe spirit."
The synonym I have in mind
Wordsworth,
starts with the letter P.
"O blithe newcomer, I have
The
heard."
Yearling by Marjorie Roy
The answer
concerns
is
itself
gay.
with the childhood of a boy.
The next word,
A
is
year
a
in his
verse.
young life. A
the
life with
synonym
its
I'm
sorrows,
thinking of
its
begins with the
transient
letter
joy.
U. The second letter
The
N.
answer is,
In the Odyssey,
Passage.
Ulysses, while returning to his homeland,
the words are
Italy,
dilemma.
is driven
and
by adverse winds
unwittingly.
to the land of the Cyclones.
The synonyms I have in mind are
The answer
P
is
and U.
unfavorable.
In the mythological tale of Oedipus,
The
the
word is
tragic
incorrect.
figure is thrown into a dilemma
The letter
that
is
completely
B,
unnerves him
and I don't mean
when he
brave,
learns
although
that
is a
unwittingly
synonym
he has
too.
married his mother.
In the book, they
Putting his
Fly to the
eyes
Sky
out,
by
he
Quentin
becomes a
Reynolds.
poor vagrant for the rest
We
of
read
his
about the
life,
intrepid flyers
attended
of
only
Lafayette
by his
Escadrille in
daughter
World War I.
Antigone. The
meaning
synonyms
is
are predicament
Bold.
and unknowingly.
The word is serene.
And incidentally, the word vagrant
The letter
means
is P.
wanderer.
In Green
The word is
Mansions, Rima lives
inadvertently.
in the woodland,
An adverb.
quiet and
The
serene.
synonym, you,
The synonym
second letter
is
N.
peaceful.
U-N. In Shakespeare's
The
play
next
Othello,
word is indomitable.
Desdemona
The
inadvertently
first
drops
letter
her
is
handkerchief,
U, the second N.
thereby creating a tragic climax.
In Howard Fast's The Crossing,
The
you get
answer
a poignant
is
picture of the indomitable
unintentional.
courage of George Washington in the
It
dark
carries a
days of the
connotation
Revolution.
of, without meaning to.
The answer is
The
unconquerable.
synonym
Another good
starts
synonym is invincible,
with the letter
like the invincible Achilles.
S. The word is dexterity.
The next word,
In National Velvet,
misgiving.
the young girl Velvet
Usually seen,
handles her
however,
horse
as
with such
misgivings.
dexterity that she qualifies
is
for the big
D.
race. The answer
A, B, C, D.
is skill.
The first line of The Razor's
And
Edge
now-
by Somerset Maugham is, I have never begun a novel with more misgiving.
The word is pensive.
The synonym is doubt.
P-N-S-I-V-E.
The next word,
Now the
Conjecture.
synonym I'm thinking of
the synonym
commences with the letter T. To get it in context, let
In
me
the short
recite
story,
a
The
passage
Adventure of the Speckled Band by Conan Doyle.
from Wordsworth's
Sherlock Holmes'
Home
conjecture is that a gypsy band
Daffodil.
was not responsible
For
the
oft
whistle
upon my
in the
couch
dead of
I
night.
lie, in vacant or in pensive
The
mood.
meaning is,
They flash
guess.
upon that inward eye. That is the bliss of solitude.
the next word,
And then
hopes.
my heart with pleasure fills and dances
X.
with the daffodil.
The meaning begins with the
The
letter
answer
D.
is thoughtful.
In another Sherlock Holmes short story, The Final Problem, Holmes
while on a mountain trip, receives a message from the inn
The
that
words
turns
are
out
concept
to be a hoax?
and wily.
The answer
The
is
synonyms begin with the letters
deception.
I and C.
Other good synonyms are
In the
trick,
Iliad,
subterfuge.
the wooden horse that led to the downfall of Troy.
The
was
word
the
is
concept of the wily Ulysses.
W-A-N.
The answers are
The
idea
synonym starts with the
and
letter
crafty.
D.
Cunning is another good synonym.
In Tolstoy's
For what?
Anna Karenina,
The word is intimidate.
Kitty's
The word I'm
chances
thinking
of
of starts
proposal
with the
from
letter
Count Vronsky waned after he had set eyes
In
on
Great
her.
Expectations by Dickens.
The meaning?
Young Pip, the
Decrease.
hero of the story, is approached by the
word
convict
is sanguine.
Magwitch, who has
The
suddenly
synonym I
emerged
have
from
in
the
mind
fog,
starts with
and
the
who
letter
demands
H.
that the boy perform an errand for him.
In Blackmore's
Intimidated,
Lorna Doone,
Pip complies,
D-O-O-N-E.
and thus
The
sets in
protagonist,
motion a
John
chain
Ridd,
of events that
becomes
fascinates the
less
reader.
sanguine about his chances of winning
The
Lorna
answer is
after he hears that
fright.
2 of the Doones have become her suitors.
The word is
The answer is
vindictive.
hopeful.
The synonym commences
next
with
word,
the letter
Enmity,
R.
E-N-M-I.
In the play Medea
Two-one.
by Euripides, the vindictive
The
Medea,
synonym commences
who has
with the
been
letter
jilted by
H.
Jason, the leader of the Argonauts, vows
John
revenge.
Ridd attempts to
And
get
the series of
warrants against the
crimes she
Doones
commits
because of their
are
depredation.
horrible acts that leave the
But the
reader
magistrates
aghast.
refuse for fear
The answer
of
is
incurring their enmity.
Revengeful.
The answer is hatred.
The word is antithesis.
The next word, wax. I don't
A-N
mean candle wax.
T-I.
The synonym
T-H-E-S-I-S.
is I, the second letter N.
The synonym I'm
In
thinking
the
of
Iliad,
commences
the
with the
combat
letter
for possession of the
C.
Greek ships.
In the brothers
ever
Karamotsu, Aloysia,
the answer,
gentle and sweet,
increase.
is the antithesis of his debauched
The next
brother,
word,
Matrix.
iniquitous.
The answer is
I-N-
contrast.
I,
Another good
Q-U-I,
synonym,
T-O-U-S.
opposite.
The synonym starts with the letter
The
W.
word is
In
indefatigable.
Poe's short story, The Black Cat,
The synonym
the
commences with the
narrator,
letter
the
T.
murderer, clefts the brain of his
In The
wife with an
Moonstone
axe.
by Wilkie Collins,
This iniquitous
a
deed
gem is
accomplished,
stolen from the
problem
forehead
of
of
removing
a
a body
moon
presented
god in an
itself.
Indian shrine.
The answer is
Because of the indefatigable sleuthing of 3
the
Hindus,
next word,
it was eventually
bizarre.
recovered.
B-I-Z-A-R-R-E.
Incidentally, never start a sentence with due to. Use because of or owing to.
Don't confuse this word with a
The
bizarre
answer
we
is
hold at St.
tireless.
Paul's School. That is spelled differently.
The
The
words
synonym
are
commences
solace
with the letter
and
S.
querulous.
Bizarre as it may be, the theme of Dr.
The synonyms
Jekyll
I
and
have in
Mr.
mind
Hyde,
begin
that
with the
of
letters
duality of
C
man,
and
has
C.
always fascinated me.
In Madame Bovary,
The answer is
by
strange.
Flaubert, Charles
The
Bovary
next word,
finds solace from a
arduous.
querulous wife in the house of a
The
farmer's
meaning commences
family
with the letter
whose beautiful
T.
daughter Emma has
in
interested.
C.E. Montague, short
The
story,
answers
action.
are
The
comfort
protagonist awakens
and
with a pain
complaint.
in the region of his chest. He chooses to ignore it.
The words
so
are
dedicated is he to the
consternation
arduous sport
and
mountain
valid. The
answer
synonyms I'm thinking of commence with the letters A
next word,
and S as in saint.
diligent.
In Penguin
The word I
Island
have
by
in mind.
Anatole France,
The
a
synonym
monk
that
finds
is,
himself in the region of
commences
the North
with the
Pole
letter I.
and, mistaking
Tom
the
Brown's
penguins for
school
people,
days, typical of all good
baptizes
schools.
them, causing
One
great
learns that the
consternation in
diligent student
paradise.
gets good grades. But the diligent boy who is also a good athlete
Is there baptism
is the one who is apt to be
valid
the leader.
or not? The
The word
answers
is
are
industrious.
alarm and
The
sound.
word is wary. W-A-R-Y.
The word is sagacious.
The synonym commences with the letter
In The Black
C.
Cat by Poe,
In Treasure
a
Island,
cat,
Bill Bones,
sagacious
the
like
pirate,
the owl,
takes up
eludes the
residence
hands of a
at the
murderer.
Admiral Benbow Inn.
The
Telling
answer is
Sam Morgan to
wise.
be wary of seamen. particularly
The word
one
is
with only
cryptic.
one leg.
The synonym I'm thinking of starts with the letter O. To get it in context, let me allude to a Sherlock Holmes story, a study in
Synonym
Scarlet,
I'm thinking of
in which
starts
Holmes
with the letter
sees a cryptic word rat
kidnap.
scribbled in blood
This word, incidentally,
on the
can be
wall where the
spelled with
murder
either
took place,
one,
and deduces
P,
certain
or
facts
T.
from it. The answer
David
is
Balfour approached the house
obscure.
of Shaw with considerable apprehension, as it
The
had
word
been
is
rehearsed.
momentous.
So, by people he had
The
encountered
synonym
on the way,
begins with the
the
letter
answer is
I.
fear.
To put it in context,
The
in a
word
classic,
is
let me mention an
west.
episode from Gone with the Wind.
Q-U-E-S-T.
Scarlett O'Hara and the entire
synonym
South
begins
thrilled
with the letter
at the momentous
S,
news of the
as in
victory
Shaw.
at the First Battle of Bull Run.
Among King Arthur's knights,
The
was Sir
answer is
Galahad,
important.
who went
Very
in
important.
quest of the Holy Grail.
The word
Answer,
is Sylvan.
search.
S-Y-L-V-A-N.
The word
The synonym I'm
is
thinking of
florist.
starts with the letter W.
Q-U-A-R-R-Y.
A portion of a poem by
The
Emerson
synonym I'm
illustrates
thinking
its
of
use.
commences with the letter P.
Oh, now
In
that I'm
Kipling's
safe in my
Jungle
sylvan
Stories,
home, I
Lord
tread
Taylor,
on
the
the
leader of
pride
the
of
pack,
Greece and Rome.
misses his cue,
The
his
answer
quarry,
is
and
woodland.
thus becomes in
The
danger
word
of
is
his life.
harrowing.
The answer
The synonym
is
I have in mind
pray.
commences with the letter D. In War and Peace by Tolstoy, Pierre,
the
Russian
word
prisoner
is
of war,
wistful.
suffers terrible
synonym
privations during the
starts
harrowing
with the
retreat
letter
of Napoleon's army from Moscow.
And
The
now
answer
for a
is
biblical allusion.
Distressing.
Ruth amid the
The
alien
word is
corn
devious.
in an alien land and the wife of
The
Boaz
synonym I have in mind
must have had many wistful thoughts
starts with the letter
for a
T.
native land. The
In Quentin
answer,
Durward by
and
Sir
a hard
Walter
one,
Scott, the
yearning,
reader gets a good insight
Another good
into the
synonym,
character of King Louis XI of
longing,
France, who through devious negotiations often gains what he wants
the next
rather
word,
than resorting to war.
pariah.
The answer is tricky.
R-I-A-H. The synonym commences with the letter O. In Huckleberry Finn,
The word is
Huck at
vindicate.
times must have considered himself a sort of pariah in the village.
In The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane,
Answer,
young Henry,
outcast.
the protagonist of the novel,
The
while
word is
deserting the
important.
battlefront, comes across a
E-O-R.
squirrel whose flight
T-E-N-T.
seems in some bizarre
The
way to vindicate his own
The
action.
synonym starts with the letter O.
The answer is justified.
In the brothers,
The word is vigil.
a priest.
The meaning I
who
have in
by
mind
worship
begins
the
with the
youngest
letter
brother for all
W.
sin. This is considered
In a Sherlock
bad
Holmes
portent
story, The Adventure of
by
the
everybody
Speckled
there.
Band by Sir Arthur
The
Conan
answer
Doyle.
is omen.
Holmes and Watson settle themselves in a room, prepared
The
for a
word is
long night's
singular.
vigil, anticipating
The
some
synonym
horror
I'm thinking of
that they feared would occur.
starts with the letter U.
The answer
The
is
second letter,
watch.
N. In John Ruskin,
The words
the
are
King of the Golden River,
vivacious.
young Gluck, on
and
hearing a knock at the front
adversity.
door, looks
The
out the window
synonyms I'm
and
thinking of
espies the most
commence
singular
with the letters
character
L
he had
and
ever set
M.
eyes on.
L for
The
vivacious.
answer is
M for
unusual.
adversity. In Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell,
The
the
word is
vivacious
morbid.
scarlet is one of the bells
The
of the
synonym
South.
commences with the letter
Frivolous
U.
perhaps in character,
The second letter,
but showing
N.
strength in the adversity of
Dostoevsky,
war.
The psychologist
The
novelist,
answers are
writes of
lively
a series of morbid
and misfortunes.
incidents in the brothers Karamazov.
The
His
word
characters
is
are
holocaust.
sensuous and depressing,
The synonym I'm thinking of starts
answer
with the letter
is
D.
unhealthy. But let
In The Last Days of Pompeii by Bulwer Lytton,
unhealthy. one reads about the terrible Holocaust that engulfed the city in a sea of molten lava from the eruption of Vesuvius.
The word is arrogant.
The answer
Synonym
is
I'm thinking of starts
destruction, widespread
with the letter
destruction.
H. In the story Ben-Hur,
The word is
Ben's boyhood
avarice.
friend returns from his
Now the
studies in
synonym
Rome,
I'm
changed
thinking of
person.
commences with the letter
So
G.
arrogant has he become.
Let me allude to
The
the classic
answer
Silas Marner
is
by George Eliot, a pseudonym for Mary Ann Evans,
G-H.
and try to
G1.
analyze the character of Silas.
The word is
Was this
nature.
good man
N-A-
truly avaricious,
D-I-R.
despite the fact he hoarded gold and nightly loved to let it
Ben-Hur's
stream through his
fortunes
fingers?
were at their nadir
The
when
answer
serving
is
as a galley slave.
greed.
The answer is
The
lowest
word is
point.
craven. The word
The
is synonym
intimidate.
I have
The
in
synonym
mind
I have in
starts
mind
with the letter
starts with the letter
C.
F. In Jack London's Call
Let me
of the
recount
Wild,
an incident
Buck
in Lord
refuses
Jim
to
by
allow
Conrad.
Spitz to intimidate him,
Jim,
and later kills
a
him in a
vagrant,
fight to the death.
secures a
The
berth
answer
on a
is
vessel
fright.
whose captain cravenly abandoned his ship when it met with an accident. The answer is cowardly. The word is harbinger. The synonym I'm thinking of commences with the letter F. Now the second letter is O, the third R. To get it in context, let me quote a passage from the Midsummer Night's Dream. For night's swift dragons cut the clouds full fast, and yonder shines Aurora's harbinger. The answer is forerunner. The word is livid. There is a great deal of uncertainty and confusion regarding the primary meaning of this word. According to modern dictionaries, the primary meaning is ashen or pale. However, another meaning seems to be blue-black. After much cogitation, I've compromised on the meaning leaden-colored. The word is cringe. The synonym I have in mind begins with the letter C. Let me put it in context, using an incident from the classic, The Last Days of Pompeii. Glaucus, one of the principal characters of the story, has been fed to the wild beasts in the arena. But they, sensing the impending doom of the city, cringe and refuse to eat him.
The answer is cower. Now I'm going to give you a word that I feel some of my sixth grade students might well know the meaning of. The word is lethal. L-E-T-H-A-L. The meaning I have in mind starts with the letter D. To put it in context, let me allude again to the last days of Pompeii. A lethal cloud, a forerunner of doom, hangs over the city a short while before its destruction. The answer is deadly. The word is arrogant. The synonym commences with the letter H. To put it in context, let me allude to an episode in Ivanhoe. Reginald Front de Bœuf, the arrogant Knights Templar, abducts a beautiful Jewish maiden Rebecca from a flaming castle. The answer is haughty. Delacroix, the well-known French painter, has made this incident the subject of a famous painting. The word is wanton, W-A-N-T-O-N. The synonym I have in mind starts with the letter I. To get the word in context,
let me allude to the Iliad. A most important episode has to do with the abduction of Helen by wanton Paris from the court of Menelaus, king of Sparta. This dastardly act precipitated the Greek-Trojan War. The answer is immoral. We have come to the end now on this side. A-S-T-U-T-E. The synonym I'm thinking of begins with the letter S, as in Sam. In the late George Apley, George, after graduation from Harvard, learns about the astute, businesslike ways of the Apley family. The answer is shrewd. S-H-R-E-W-D. The word is lucid. L-U-C-I-D. The synonym starts with the letter C. To get it in context, let's take an episode from A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes meets Watson for the first time and remarks to him that he sees the good doctor has spent some time in Afghanistan. A remark that flabbergasts Watson. Apparently, what was perfectly lucid to Holmes was not lucid to others. The answer is clear. Flabbergast, incidentally, means astound. The word is erudite. The synonym starts with the letter L. In the classic of Human Bondage, Philip Carey, the young protagonist of the story, goes to Berlin to receive tutoring in languages and mathematics. After his stay there was over, he had every right to consider himself an erudite young gentleman. The answer is learned. The word is turbid. T-U-R-B-I-D. The synonym I have in mind commences with the letter M. In Macaulay's Horatius, Horatius, though wounded, plunges into the turbid, roiling waters of the Tiber in full armor. The answer is muddy. Macaulay describes this incident so poignantly in a stanza from his poem Horatius that in part is an apostrophe to the river that flows through Rome. The word apostrophe appears twice, incidentally, in dictionaries, two separate words with separate meanings. One grammatical, the other an exclamatory address to a person or thing present or absent. Let me recite this stanza containing an apostrophe. O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, a Roman's life, a Roman's arms, take thou in charge his day. So he spake, and speaking, sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back, plunged headlong in the tide. The word is curtail. The synonym begins with the letter S, as in Samuel. To get it in context,
Let me allude to an episode in Alice in Wonderland. Alice finds herself in the garden of talking flowers, but her conversation with them is sharply curtailed by the sudden arrival of the Duchess's gardeners, who enter with red paint to daub the roses with. The answer is shorten. The words are premonition and deft, D-E-F-T. The synonyms commence with the letters F and N. To put them in context, I'll allude to an episode from the Edgar Allan Poe story, short story, The Cask of Amontillado. The murderer lures his unsuspecting victim, who had no premonition of danger, into a dank wine cellar, where, after leading him into a far recess, deftly throws a chain around his body, securing him to the wall, and, while addressing him with sardonic phrases, builds a rampart around him, hermetically sealing the poor wretch in. Now, don't forget the letters are F and N. F for premonition and N for deft. The answers are forewarning and nimble. Incidentally, sardonic means bitingly ironic. Hermetically means airtight. The words are trust and aperture. The synonyms commence with the letters B and O. Let me allude to an episode from Poe's The Pit and the Pendulum. A victim of the dreaded Spanish Inquisition, trussed and helpless on the floor of his prison, while a scythe descends on him while his torturers gloat through an aperture in the ceiling. The answers, don't forget now, B for truss and O for aperture, are bind and opening. Incidentally, gloat means to gaze maliciously. The words are epitome and belated. The synonyms are S and T. In Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, the young, introspective prince, whose character was the epitome of indecision and irresolution, belatedly carries out his vow to kill his uncle Claudius, when, while dying, runs his sword, which had been tipped with poison, through him, thus avenging his murdered father. Incidentally, the synonym for epitome, S, as in Samuel, has a following word, an adverb, up. The answers are summing up and tardy. The words are detrimental and diligent. The synonyms commence with the letters D and I. In I, Claudius by Robert Graves, poor Claudius was afflicted with the detrimental handicap of being a stammerer. Moreover, he was a scholar, and this in a world of soldiering was an added detriment. Although he would work diligently and was conversant on every aspect of state history, his work was boring. But when he compiled his own autobiography, it was a great success. The answers are damaging
and industrious. Incidentally, the word conversant means familiar. The words are prevalent and conflagration. The synonyms begin with the letters W and F. In the classic Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Jane, while a student at Lowood School, fell ill from a fever that numerous girls from the school had died from, and that was prevalent in all that area. In the climax of the story, Thornfield, her future husband Rochester's home, was completely gutted by a conflagration, killing the mysterious mad woman on the third floor. The answers, don't forget W for prevalent and F for conflagration, are widespread and fire, a big fire. The word is congenital. The synonym commences with the letter I. In the classic of Human Bondage by Somerset Maugham, Philip Carey, the principal character of the story, was born with a congenital defect, a club foot. The answer is inborn. Innate is another excellent answer. The words are pariah and supple. The meanings commence with the letters O and L. To get them in context, let me allude to the classic Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain, a pseudonym, incidentally, for Samuel Clemens. Huckleberry Finn was considered a pariah in the small town where he lived. In a scene in a cemetery, 3 men engaged in a wrangle. One of them, Injun Joe, a miscreant of the village, supple and quick as a cat, seizes a knife and stabs one of the men to death. The answers are outcast and limber. Lithe is also a good synonym. Incidentally, the word pseudo means false. The word miscreant means villain. Now let me pause a moment to enable you to get pencils and paper for this one, as there will be 5 words. The words are perverse, P-E-R-V-E-R-S-E, compunction, C-O-M, P-U-N-C-T-I-O-N, infamy, enmity, and inflexible. The synonyms I have in mind start with the letters C, R, D, H, and UN. In The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, the following incidents will put the words in context. Hester Prynne's illegitimate child, Pearl, proved to be a very perverse kid. Dimsdale, the minister in the story and father of Pearl, contrite and in a perturbed state of mind, felt extreme compunction for the infamy poor Hester underwent on the scaffold with the emblem A on her dress, meaning adulteress. In another incident, Shillingworth, Hester's husband, arrives unexpectedly in town, discovers that Dimsdale had seduced his wife. So bitter is his enmity toward the minister that he remained inflexible to the pleadings of Hester. Now let me remind you of the first letters of the synonyms. C for perverse, R for compunction, D for infamy, H for enmity, and UN for inflexible. The answers are contrary, remorse, disgrace, hatred, and unyielding. Incidentally, contrite is another good synonym for compunction, though the correct grammatical form should be contrition to agree with compunction. Now let me reiterate the answers again. Contrary, remorse, disgrace, hatred, and unyielding. 3 nouns and 2 adjectives. After graduation from Harvard, learns about the astute, businesslike ways of the Apley family. The answer is shrewd.